Good afternoon, everyone. This is the November monthly assessment and accountability call. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have quite a few things to talk through today. We're going to jump into accountability first and then go over some of the upcoming assessment administration information, and then, as usual, end with support and communication structures. All right, we're going to jump into the November assessment checklist. A couple of things to highlight for this month is that DTCs and STCs should be utilizing the scheduling guidance document to determine your final schedules for the fall's high school administration for LEAP 2025 and EOC, and then of course setting up sessions within eDirect for all of the test sessions within a school. Our high school tests start on November 29th and they will end on December 15th. For December, just a couple of things to highlight. Our monthly call is on the 19th for December. Also, LEAP 2025 and EOC fall testing ends on the 15th, so that would be the last time for your retests as well for high school testers. And then the last week of testing is when you'll apply accountability codes for any students where that would apply. Moving into accountability, today is the release of the Louisiana School Finder, November 7th. Both school performance scores and early childhood performance profiles will be reported through the interactive online tool, Louisiana School Finder, this year. The Louisiana School Finder will provide families with school performance scores and early childhood performance ratings to show how well students and centers are preparing students for the next grade level. It will also show basic information about schools, such as their website, hours of operation, after-school activities, clubs, and things like that. Schools and early childhood centers across the state will be holding parent nights following the release of these results in order to have conversations with families and about the school and center performance and improvement. There are some resources that we've provided here for you all to use. There are animated school performance score videos. They basically show each metric used within the school finder for both K-12 and early childhood performance. There are also parent night presentations available that you can customize, whether you're a principal giving this to your school or if you're a district doing open houses or anything like that. Also helpful for schools to use as they meet with families about these scores as well. There's also a school finder flyer that's attached here as well. It's just a one-page flyer with information about Louisiana School Finder and how to find the information for their school. All of these resources are in the Principal Support Toolbox and on the School and Center Performance page. Based on conversations with school and school system leaders over the past couple of months, the department has made some improvements to the policies reviewed and ultimately approved by BESE. One is schools that were significantly impacted in the flooding last school year will use the better of the 2016-17 or 2015-16 accountability results. Two, as high schools transition to the 5-level LEAP 2025 assessment, schools will continue to earn 100 points for good on the 4-level EOC assessment. 3, school systems will determine whether to use ELA and math EOC results in the spring grades. 4, schools that support students to complete Jumpstart credentials in the summer after graduation will earn credit in the Strength of Diploma Index. And 5th, fifth-year graduates who earn an advanced Jumpstart credential will generate 140 points, comparable to passing AP, IB, or CLEP. There will be a collaboration session on these accountability policies. So if you're planning to join the November collaborations, there'll be a session related to this as well. Also, just a quick summary of some additional adjustments at BESE. The first one is that a score of basic will be awarded 80 points on the K-8 assessment index and the 9-12 assessment index. the same adjustment will be made for Leap Connect. The second thing is for purposes of calculating an elementary or middle school progress index or high school progress index, schools will be awarded up to 150 points for students scoring mastery in the current year, but no fewer than 85 points, including for students whose results fall within the 1st to 39th percentiles of VAM. And then in 2018-19, the first year of the LEAP 2025 Science Assessment, either the 16-17 or 18-19 Science Assessment Index, whichever yields the higher school performance score, will be used in the K-8 Assessment Index. An update to the pupil progression plan is linked here. So the department's working to develop a significantly streamlined pupil progression plan template and guidance document based on the recent 4th and 8th grade revisions approved by BESE last month. As a result of the delayed release, the submission deadline will be extended to February 1. The guidance document will be released today and will be available in the weekly newsletter for superintendents and on the graduation requirements page on our website. There will also be a webinar held to provide updates to assist school systems in completing and submitting the plan. School system superintendents, charter school leaders, and school system supervisors can attend one of the webinars. They are scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th from 3:30 to 4:30, or Tuesday, November 28th from 3:30 to 4:30, and the information about this is located on this slide. If you do have questions about it, you can email ppp@la.gov. All right, we're going to jump into assessment administration information. I want to go over some technology readiness information for you all. A lot of this is information you all have heard before. It is similar to last year. A lot of it is the same, but I wanted to make sure you had it in one place for this year. So as far as technology preparation, remember that there are actions that should occur in order to ensure devices are ready for testing. One being to make sure that the TSM is set up, and also to install Insight on all of the testing devices. There are steps here that can help you ensure that the TSM and devices are connected. So if you go click on Insight and click on the test sign-in under end of course or LEAP 2025, you'll use the generic login for one of the text-to-speech OTTs. If your TSM is set up correctly, then the text-to-speech will launch successfully. Staff at schools should check at least one device per TSM and org unit to ensure that they are ready to roll for testing. I also wanted to remind you of the technology FAQ document we have available. So this document is linked here, and it gives information for you all and for school test coordinators to use. This is a collection of frequently asked questions we've gotten about technology, so it's in one place for you. There are questions about the TSM, Insight, different devices, eDirect, and then error messages that would be really helpful to give to your school test coordinators and anyone else in your office that will help during assessment for the fall. So these essays would definitely be a go-to document before proceeding through customer service, whether it's with us or a DRC. So we wanted you to have the most common errors and how to help troubleshoot those things. There's also a technical troubleshooting tips document, and it goes through specific instances that you may see during testing, and I have the next slides that just outline this document. That way you can get a feel for what is located here. So it'll ask you if you run into a message, what you should do. It gives you different steps for the school test coordinator to troubleshoot prior to contacting us or DRC. And you'll see here on the next few slides, we have common system messages that occur and what you can do at the school level or district level to troubleshoot. So a common thing we get is that there's an invalid username and password. A couple things that might have caused that is the student typed in the wrong information, or they went into the wrong assessment when clicking on the Insight screen. So they should be clicking their Fall Leap 2025 assessment and the test sign-in. Sometimes we have kids who click something else like Eagle, or they might click another assessment located on the screen. So we want to make sure that they are clicking on the right one and typing in the username and password correctly. Also, if there's an internet connection error, there are steps here for you to troubleshoot as well. On the next slide, we have some other common errors. So maybe you would see a TSM connection error, or the configuration isn't found, or no TSM is configured. The next button might be grayed out, or there's a frozen screen or a spinning wheel. Again, all of the troubleshooting actions are located here for you all. Another one would be that the audio isn't working. So this just gives you some questions to think about as you are troubleshooting. So does the audio stop after begin test? Is the machine sound turned up more than halfway? Does the audio work outside of Insight? Does the student have text-to-speech? If they do, was it checked when the STC verified accommodations? Just different questions you can go through to make sure that you all have done everything on your end. Again, this document is located in the assessment library. If you do have a problem, or the problem continues after trying all of these things, and you need to contact customer service at DRC, you will need the following information when you call to get the best service. So you want to make sure you have the student ID for the student that logged in that was having this problem, how many students were affected, the date, the specific message that's on the screen. So all of these will help move your call quickly within the system if you have this information ready. Otherwise, it may take longer for you to have to get with someone else to get this information and to collect it all. So if you have all this information when you call, the call will be more efficient. You should call DRC after you use those documents to troubleshoot, but also if you have platform functionality issues, meaning with user management, ordering materials, adding or editing students, any issues with test tickets or data validation, those are the issues you would call DRC for. Also, Insight or TSM troubleshooting issues as well. So one thing that you will now notice in your eDirect accounts that you have all been asking for is you wanted a training account to use with your school test coordinators to be able to pull up on a screen where PII wasn't displaying. That way you could do demonstrations for your school test coordinators and work with them. So you all have a training account now. It also has 10 training students in there. You will have your sample school as 777. Again, this is for training purposes only, and you will use the Practice Test 2018 administration for your training account and training students. Again, it is your sample school to help you with training, and each of you all has one of these for your LEA. Also, just a reminder, the online tools training can be accessed through the link here or in Insight. Again, this is an opportunity for your students and your teachers to review the tools within the system and the different features so that they are ready for the operational test. I know a lot of you all are already using Leap Connect, so that's another great way for you all to expose students to the system and give them practice. All right, let's go ahead and jump into test security. So the window for the fall administration is already set, and that is the default window within the system. STCs should enter the test window for the days that a particular test session will be tested. So after your STCs have created their schedule, if they know that they are testing English 1, Session 1 with Ms. Johnson's class on Wednesday, then the testing date within the window should be for that Wednesday. If a student needs to test on a day outside of the set window due to extenuating circumstances, then the STC will need to edit the dates for that session. You will not have to have the tickets reprinted. They'll just need to adjust the dates for that particular session. But something to remind your STCs is the dates that they set within the test setup should be for the exact dates that they are testing that session. We had this slide in here last month, but I just wanted to add it in here again as a reminder. You all as the DTCs are responsible for initiating any investigations of severe testing irregularities. So that could include when you have to void a student's test as well, or if materials are lost. The report template is located here. This is the minimum that you all as an LEA must report to the LDOE regarding voided tests. And then we all would have the right to continue an investigation if we feel necessary. But again, I would use this investigation template as a beginning. If you have questions about investigations or need assistance, just call or email us at assessment@la.gov. Any investigation is due 30 days after notification to the LEA. Students' tests should be voided if there is an instance of cheating, whether by a student or someone else. If there's a case of cheating, the test administrator needs to give the STC a written account of the incident, any available documentation for that instance. So what happened, if there's any materials involved in cheating, like papers that the student may have written on or things like that, that would need to be provided to the school test coordinator. The STC needs to convene a test security committee that has at least the principal STC and the TA, and they will determine whether or not the test should be voided. They will then complete the void notification form and then give it to you, the DTC. Once you get all that, you will complete and email the void verification form to us at assessment@la.gov. Another reminder about Caveon. So again, Caveon is the nation's leading test security experts, and we have negotiated an agreement with them to provide services for you all if your district is interested in doing that. So services on monitoring, investigations, or training. If you want to see the description of all of the services and fee schedules, you can locate them at the link here. And if you want to reach out to Caveon with questions, you're more than welcome to do that as well, and their information is linked here on the slide. All right, LEAD 2025 practice tests. So we have our grades 3 to 8 teacher access available now. The practice test quick start has also been updated with the usernames and passwords for these practice tests. The practice test quick start guide is also available in the practice test library on our website. High school teacher access has been available, but the practice tests are now available for student use for high school. The grades 3 to 8 practice tests were revised a little bit for this year, so specific changes in ELA were dependent on the grade level. The reading load was reduced in session 3 by removing a passage set or replacing a longer set with a shorter set. And then at some grades, the reading passage sets were moved around to create a balanced and diverse reading load across the entire test. The social studies test had minor changes really related to just graphics and wording, and then the math tests have had no changes for the practice test. Here is, again, the link to the teacher access link, and then the usernames for each subject and passwords are located here as well. And again, these are available in the practice test quick start guide. LEAD 2025 resources include assessment guides for grades 3 through high school in ELA, math, and social studies. The science field test guides will be available later this fall. The assessment guides have information about the test designs, administration policies, and sample items. The department also had webinars earlier this year that detailed the changes to high school assessments for this school year. Those are available in the assessment guidance library as well. We also have full-length greater course level practice tests that are available for teachers to preview through Teacher Access for grades 3 through 8 math and social studies. And high school practice tests are also available for teachers to preview through Teacher Access, and students are able to take the high school practice tests now. The practice test guidance documents help teachers understand how to most effectively use these practice tests with their kids. The guides have recently been updated to include information about the new high school practice tests. Practice test webinars were conducted earlier this month to help high school teachers and DTCs with the setup, administration, scoring, and reporting of the practice tests. Social studies teachers are encouraged to use the social studies assessment framework that's available in the practice test library to better understand how the ELEAT 2025 social studies assessments connect to classroom instruction. The framework includes annotated item sets from the practice test demonstrating how content and claims are assessed for the end-of-year assessment. And then additionally, there are answer keys for social studies grades 3 to 8, and there are annotated student responses to constructed response and extended response tasks from the practice test. Reviewing these can help teachers gain a better understanding of the types of written responses expected from students and how to score the students' responses consistently according to the rubrics. Additional resources include guides to the online equation builders for math, extended response checklists for social studies, ELA rubrics that are used to score the PROS constructed response tasks, and the OTTs where teachers and students can become familiar with the testing platform. All right, so for our fall high school administration, our test coordinator manual, the TCM, and our test administrator manual, the TAM, are available in eDirect. I just wanted to pull out a couple highlights of the manuals. All of these things are pretty familiar as they are consistent administration to administration. Some scheduling reminders that I wanted to note would be that, again, like I mentioned earlier, when scheduling test sessions, STCs must enter the designated begin and end dates for each test session. Also, the ELEAT 2025 tests are timed. The EOC tests are not timed. Those specific directions and either times or suggested times are located in the manual. The only students who are eligible to take the 4-level U.S. History EOC are students who are graduating in 2017-18 and retesters who are not repeating the course. EOC tests taken for courses earned prior to 2017-18 will be accepted. If you have any other questions or you need to reference a document about the high school assessments, you can access the 2017-18 high school assessment FAQ document, which is linked here. It is really important to stress to school test coordinators that they need to ensure that the correct students are taking the 4-level U.S. History and the correct students are taking the 5-level U.S. History assessment. For unlocking and invalidating test tickets, only the DTC, so only you all, should have the permission to unlock and invalidate test tickets. Every time this happens, a testing irregularity form must be sent to assessment@la.gov, and the directions for doing so are located on this slide, as well as in the manual. Some reminders about accommodations. Students with accommodations in SIR and SIS will be uploaded by DRC. Non-pre-identified students must be added to eDirect manually. This is something to note. This is different. These accommodation uploads, this will be our first year where we are pulling for an entire year from both SIR and SIS. So remember, in the past, STCs had to manually enter all of these accommodations. We are now trying to make this as easy as possible for your school test coordinators. So SIR and SIS this year will be pulling from those accommodations. Something to note, however, is that this year, Your school test coordinators will have to manually enter any read-aloud accommodations just for kids that had accommodations in SIS. If a student had a read-aloud accommodations in SIR, those will be uploaded. So just read-aloud accommodations from SIS will need to be manually entered by school test coordinators. But again, remind them that they should be reviewing and verifying every student's accommodation for every test session that they have. This is super important. I know a lot of you learned last year how important this was and to stress it to your STCs. So I would continue to do that. But some differences would be that this year we're pulling from SIR and SIS the whole year. However, again, test read aloud accommodations from SIS will need to be manually entered. STCs will also need to manually enter accessibility or accommodations features in eDirect for students that have a PNP or who have English learner accommodations on their EL plan. Some other accommodations reminders would be that accommodations must be added before a student is put in a test session. If they are assigned after a student's put in a test session, they will not receive the accommodated form. So all of these reviews by your STCs for accommodations need to happen prior to putting them in a test session. Also, this year we have the accommodations being displayed on the test rosters so that STCs or TAs can verify accommodations before handing out test tickets. So this was a piece of feedback we got from several of you all last year that you wanted the accommodations to be on the roster. So we've added those for you. So you could tell before a student goes into a test whether or not they have the correct accommodation. The English 3 reading passages in sessions 2 and 3 and their questions may not be read aloud or signed. So that is a violation of test security. So you'll notice that, or if you have a student ask, if they're in sessions with questions that are not read aloud or passages not read aloud, the text-to-speech will not read anything except A, B, C, D. They will not even read the answer choice. They'll just read the letters A, B, C, D. That is it. The passage won't be read, the questions won't be read, and the answer choices will not be read for those reading comprehension sections of the English 3. All parts of the English 1 and English 2 LEAP 2025 assessment will be read aloud for students who have the read aloud accommodation. Some reminders about reports. Reports for all EOC subjects, so EOC English 3, U.S. History, Biology, will become available 4 days after a student completes all the sessions of a test and exits properly. Seniors receiving an automatic rescore of a 4-level EOC test will receive scores 8 days after taking the test. So 4 to score and then an additional 4 if it's a rescore, which is where you get your 8 days. Reports for 5-level LEAP 2025 high school assessments, except U.S. History, the 5-level assessments will be available in January. So STCs should use the reports in eDirect to ensure that students have completed the LEAP 2025 5-level U.S. History test. All scores from the U.S. History 5-level assessment will be available in the summer of 2018. Students must be provided scratch paper, so blank, lined, or graph paper. As long as it has no words, numbers, markings on it, it just needs to be plain blank scratch paper. Any paper that's used must be collected at the end of the administration and turned into the STC to be destroyed. So remember, these are, or they become secure materials. Directions to transfer students are located in the chart and also in the manual. I wanted to point out some of these testing statistic reports. I know some of you have just recently become familiar with these, but they are really neat to use. There are a number of them to help you all assess the status of students in schools during testing. So they are located in the Online Testing Statistics tab. So if you go to Online Testing Statistics, you could see the number of students by school and subject that have completed testing for the current and previous day. There are also reports such as the daily cumulative student status report, the daily student status report, there's a reset report, an excessive login report, and others that can help you as you are monitoring with your district and school. The student status dashboard is really neat. It's dynamic, so you can click on different sections of this dashboard to display different features. And it's also in real time. You could switch from a graph or a chart depending on your preference, but it'll give you testing status by school and administration, and you could filter by testing status, grade, content, and assessment, or any of those in combination. There's a section in the eDirect user guide called Student Status Dashboard if you'd like to look at that as you prepare to use this for fall assessments. District and school test coordinators should wait till the very end of the test window to do all the accountability coding in eDirect. At the end of the window, students who need an accountability code should be placed in a separate test session for each subject and then have that code applied. And the steps to apply those codes are located here. The link to our technical assistance protocol is also linked here. This is just a one-pager that you can give to your school test coordinators, tech coordinators, whoever, to ensure that the correct channels of communication are being implemented during testing to make sure that you are receiving all the information you need, your STCs are doing what they need to do, and that protocol is located here. So if a student reports a problem, they should obviously raise their hand, tell the TA administering the test. If that TA or teacher can't help with the problem, then they would go to their school test coordinator. If the school test coordinator has done everything they need to do and they still need help, they need to go to you or the technology coordinator. And then if you or the technology coordinator have done everything you can do and you still need help, then you would call us or DRC. It is really, really important to have a streamlined process for this during testing so things don't get too chaotic, and then you all will always know any problem that's happening in your district. They should not be contacting us first. They should be contacting you all or the technology coordinator. These are the key dates for fall testing. The grade cells are already in action. This Friday, November 10th, materials would be delivered to the school system. This would be for students who need a Braille assessment or for students who are deaf who have an interpreter script. Those would be the only things that would be mailed to you for fall high school testing. If you need additional materials, you would begin ordering those in the additional materials tab on the 13th. Rescore requests are due in January, and that information is also in the manuals. I wanted to also remind you all about unique accommodations. So this year has gone a lot better. I think people are, used to this system after a few years, but I know we have some new people who are on the call. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as unique accommodations. So if a student with a disability, whether it's an English learner that has an accommodation plan or a student that has an IEP or an IAP, and they do not have an accommodation on their plan, and the school would like to request an accommodation that does not change the construct being measured by the test, the school may request approval for a unique accommodation. That unique accommodation should be listed in their plan in both classroom and unique accommodation sections on their accommodations plan. Definitely refer them to the Accessibility and Accommodations Manual if they have other questions. Once they request a unique accommodation, they must send this to you all as the district test coordinator. You all should be looking through any of these, weeding any out that don't meet the criteria, Any that you feel due, you should be sending them to us. So we will only accept unique accommodation requests that come from a DTC. Remember that this should be given to LDOE at least 4 weeks before testing to make sure everything happens in a timely manner. A copy of the form should be kept in the student's records, and then if you all need to, retain it at the district office. All right, we're going to move it to ACT and WorkKeys. Just some reminders about the WorkKeys 1.0 transition to 2.0. 1.0 will remain available through December 22nd for retesters only. The document that's linked below is a summary of the ACT and WorkKeys updates for 2017-18. It's also available in the assessment library. There is a WorkKeys training that is coming up. It is an intro to ACT WorkKeys. So if you are a new district test coordinator, this might be really great. Or if you have new school test coordinators, this would be really great for them to attend. ACT has a ton of these throughout the year, but this is the one that is coming up next, and you can register using the link on the slide. Some important dates. Remember that the ACT MOU was due in September. If you have not submitted this, please submit this as soon as possible. Managing participation is mandatory this year and must be done, or materials will not be shipped. Please make sure school test coordinators take care of this as soon as possible in PA Next, and that you all are checking PA Next to make sure schools have completed this before December 1. The schedule of events is also linked here. Please refer to this to avoid missing deadlines. So this is similar to our month-by-month checklist, but it's just specific to ACT. Also a reminder that the 10-digit listed must be used when coding a student ID number, and this is for both paper and online testing. Another reminder about ACT Online. So last year we had several districts participate in ACT Online, and they loved it. We had really great reviews with the districts who used this last year, and so we are opening this up to all of our districts for the 2017-18 school year. The link to the technical requirements is on this slide. I would definitely get with your technology director to run through all of this to see if you all can meet the requirements. The ACT state testing website has more information as well. It also talks about the differences between the paper and online. You definitely want to be thinking about if your district is going to do this for this school year. You could do some of your schools, all of your schools, or none of your schools. So you definitely want to be planning ahead for that. All right, the English language proficiency test is replacing ELDA this year. So our English learners also have new standards, the Louisiana connectors for English learners. Our English learners have the unique goal of learning academic language and content at the same time as social language. So both types of language need to be assessed. The ELPT, the English Language Proficiency Test, is aligned to the new connectors for English learners, and they are a bridge between academic content and language. The results will be used to make instructional decisions and decide what supports are needed for a student to move toward full language proficiency. This chart shows the differences between ELDA, which was our older assessment, and our new assessment, ELPT. So they still assess the same things, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. They're both K through 12. One of the differences is the grade band breakup for ELPT. So you notice K is separate, 1 is separate, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. The item types now include selected response, TEIs, constructed response, and then K and 1 will have a writing supplement that will be on paper in addition to their online assessment. There are also no teacher hand-scored items. There are some rubrics that are included for speaking and writing items. This is a sample reading item, and this is a grade appropriate for language skill evaluation text. So this is a 9 to 12 reading sample. We also have a writing sample item here. So while assessing writing in second grade is new with this assessment, the expectation is for our students that reading and writing is a part of each grade level, and so writing is an essential piece of language proficiency. To demonstrate a true level of proficiency, a language learner must be literate in the new language. The ELPT passages and tasks are grade appropriate. Most contain more than one question and sometimes question types. The ELPT writing session contains selected and constructed response, and then a reflection of the interactive and multidimensional nature of English development is included. This is a listening sample item. So students will listen through headphones to directions and a scenario. So this one would say the man is looking at his watch. They could play the recording again. And just something to note is that nothing that's being spoken to the student is anywhere on the screen for students to read. So this is truly assessing their listening. This is a sample speaking item. Speaking items will require students to use a microphone that will record their answer into the testing platform. So for ELPT, it requires that students record their answers directly into the platform, whereas with ELDA, it was just a very long and drawn-out process during that section. It also required them to do a lot of listening before being able to speak about something. And images were not really relatable to students, and so for ELPT, the scenario is from a classroom, so it's a familiar situation for students. The ELPT will also have TEI items, so they will use technology like drag and drop or a drop-down menu to capture student comprehension of tasks. Again, there will be an OTT for the ELPT that allows practicing those items before taking the operational assessment, and that OTT will be available this winter. This is a sample TEI item for listening, so it's a drag and drop item. Objects will appear on the screen, such as the lamp that has the blue rectangle around it, and the students are told where to put the lamp. So they will drag it to the location. So it may tell the student drag the lamp by the table or drag the lamp to the cabinet or something like that, and they are truly assessing the students' listening skills by doing this. This is a breakdown of the sessions and length. The ELPT is untimed, so these are suggested minutes. They will work through the tasks at their own pace. The times listed again are for scheduling purposes only. For the administration of the ELPT, again, the time for instructions may vary by domain and grade level. The domains can be administered in separate sessions during the same day or on different days. Results for ELPT will be by domain within 5 levels, beginning, early intermediate, intermediate, early advanced, and advanced. They're also reported by profile, emerging, progressing, or proficient. So students in the top category will require a greater amount of support than those in a proficient category. In order to exit from the English Learner Program, students must be considered proficient by their domain scores. Like other assessment guides, the ELPT assessment guides will break down the sections of the test, have sample items, rubrics, and scores for achievement levels by grade, and that ELPT assessment guide is linked here. There are also a bunch of other guides and supports listed on this slide as well. A reminder that the ELPT data sharing agreement it is posted now in the data sharing agreement library. school system should download the addenda, sign, scan, and email the signed copy to ldedata@la.gov in order to ensure that they will be able to share student information. Also, just some things to keep in mind as we're continuing to provide information about ELPT. At the November collaborations, there will be a few trainings related to the assessment. So one will be for you all, the DTCs, on the ELPT portal. And then there's another session that would be for supervisors and principals on the assessment guide. I know that there are a ton of sessions at the November collaboration this year. We will be recording the ELPT presentation for you all to view if you need to go to other sessions. So I know a lot of you all, the majority of our districts just have a few students that need this assessment, so I understand if you want to go to other sessions instead. But we will be providing a recording and the PowerPoint of this. We will also be doing a part 2 of the ELPT training during office hours on November 28th at 1 o'clock. And you all will be given access to the ELPT portal this fall, so you'll be receiving information about that soon as well. All right, let's jump into LEAP Connect. So LEAP Connect is aligned to our Louisiana connectors for students with significant disabilities, and it provides built-in support. The results for this assessment will be used to make instructional decisions and decide on what supports are needed for additional learning. The assessment provides access to the statewide assessment system, and its focus is to measure the progress that students are making while participating in a high-quality standards-based assessment. This next slide shows the differences between LEAP Connect and Law 1. Of course, the LEAP Connect, as mentioned before, is aligned to the Louisiana connectors. It has constructed response in both ELA and math. It has questions that are paired to text and visuals. There are also different levels of complexity within each assessment, and it covers math skills and ELA skills that are listed here. Just as a quick comparison for Law 1 and LEAP Connect, this was a sample question from Law 1, and it was a reading question. This is an excellent example of how we are transitioning to LEAP Connect to truly assess reading skills. So how does this question assess reading? It's telling students to look at pictures and identify which one swims. That is not assessing reading. And so we want to make sure that as we transition to new standards, our new assessment reflects the intent of those standards. So this would be a sample question for LEAP Connect, truly assessing reading. So the student's presented with the passage. It's broken up with pictures and a short amount of sentences. The TA or the computer will read it aloud while the student follows along, and they're given the opportunity to read the passage again before even going to the question and answer choices. And this is the question and answer choices for that item. Just like ELPT, we have a LEAP Connect assessment guide that contains the purpose of the test design, how items are scored, and other important sections. And then there are quite a few assessment resources and instructional resources that are listed here as well. The LEAP Connect OTT will be available soon. You'll now see that LEAP Connect is on the Insight screen, and there is an OTT link. So that is where students will access the OTT for LEAP Connect, and there will be sample items such as the one shown on the screen for students to practice with the tools and features, and for teachers to get a feel for what it will look like. The resources listed here are assessment guides, achievement level descriptors, the OTT for both LEAP Connect and ELPT. These are great things to get in the hands of teachers and other central office employees you feel would benefit from this. The OTTs will be available this winter, so we definitely wanted you to know that and access those assessment guides since they are available now. All right, we're going to jump into LEAP 360. Remember, LEAP 360 supports schools and systems in reducing local assessment minutes while improving the quality of their tools. The interim assessments are based on curriculum and instructional pacing, and these assessments should replace previous assessment systems and not be used in addition to them. There are several resources to support teachers in their use of LEAP 360, and those are located here. So we have our LEAP 360 webpage, our Quick Start Guide, our teacher access link, and the teacher's guide to LEAP 360. Also, our K-2 formative tasks are currently available in eDirect. We also have the diagnostics and interims that are available for student use. Form 3 for high school will be coming this fall. However, the teacher access is available for interim 3. And then for our grades 3 to 8, the Form 2 will be coming this winter as well. The diagnostic test session summary report and school summary reports are available for users. At the November collaborations, there will be sessions on integrating the results specific to ELA, and then another one specific to math at the November collaborations. And then we also just linked here some updated resources for you all. EAGLE provides teachers with access to quality questions and tasks that target individual skills or texts and are intended to be integrated into the teacher's curriculum. So EAGLE is available in Insight, and the links below are just some quick start guides for your teachers on how to access EAGLE, create a test, and create a test session. All right, wrapping up with our support structures, just as a reminder, the weekly newsletters are a great go-to. So each week we'll provide you updates and information about upcoming deadlines. Also, each Tuesday we have our 1 o'clock call. Just as a reminder, the dates for all of the office hours and monthly calls are located in the school system calendar. We do not have an office hours the week of Thanksgiving, and I believe the week of Christmas, and there might be another one throughout the year, but they are pretty much every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. But in that school system support calendar, it will designate the one that is the monthly call. We also have our assessment and accountability libraries that have resources for you all. Assessment at la.gov is a great way to get information to questions that you have. And then if you have an urgent question or need immediate assistance, especially during fall testing, please reach out to the hotline. So again, that is for urgent and immediate assistance that cannot wait on an email to be responded to. Some next steps for you all would be that this month, you want to be working with whoever in your district is helping with the implementation for LEAP 360, planning for the interims, and then also accessing the high school practice test. Remember, this Friday the 10th, you'll receive your initial shipment of materials for fall testing if you have any that are coming to you. The 28th is when we'll have our part 2 of the ELPT training, and that will be during a regularly scheduled office hours. And then the testing window for high school begins the 29th and ends on December 15th. Our next monthly call will be December 19th. If you have any questions, just reach out to us at assessment@la.gov, and we'd be more than happy to get back to you. Y'all have a great week. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Louisiana Department of Education, copyright 2017, all rights reserved. For more information or to contact the Louisiana Department of Education on the web, go to www.louisianabelieves.com or call 1-877-453-2729.